You know, I've never officially said anything about terastallization in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Yeah, it's okay. But seriously, I think this is a neat little gimmick that has some elements similar to all the others we've seen before. But first of all, I think this has got to be the worst name so far. Dynamax and Gigantamax were already a bit of a mouthful, but Terastallizing takes the cake. Look, I get it, it comes from combining the words Tera and Crystallize. But it's definitely easiest for everyone to just call it Tera, which Pokemon itself seems to do half the time. I'm going to assume that by now everybody already knows how it works. Every Pokemon has a latent Tera type that they can transform into during battle, and it gets this funny little crown. I actually do like the crowns. Some of them have cool references, like the Ghost type one being the same shape as the Ghost Sprite from the Generation 1 games, and the Flying type being a bundle of balloons as seen on the Flying Pikachu cards. Yeah, they're a bit big and goofy, but they're like that to be a clear visual indicator that that Pokemon's type has changed and what that type is. But if anything, this is just confirmation that every Pokemon has been given the ability to wear a hat. So honestly, it just makes me want them to include cosmetic items for Pokemon in the future. I mean, we saw it in Pokemon Let's Go of all things. As for applications in battle, I think it's also an interesting mechanic. You can only Terastallize one Pokemon per battle, but it lasts the entire battle. So in that aspect, it's like Mega Evolution. But offensively, it's also kind of like Z moves in that it gives any Pokemon some added utility. And also offensively, it means one Pokemon gets to change its type for a potential boost to an attack it knows. But I like that it's a battle gimmick that also works defensively. And yes, we were already shown the potential of changing a type with an immunity by Tyranitar turning into a spooky ghost. But it's also interesting that when a Pokemon terastallizes, it becomes a single type instead of stacking that new type on top of whatever it was before, which balances things out. I think when it comes to Wi-Fi and online battles, it'll be a cool way to interact with Pokemon. Honestly, I was not a fan of Dynamaxing, the way that it threw off battles visually, increased a Pokemon's stats even if it was just a temporary HP boost, and affected the battlefield by adding large-scale effects on top of damage. So I think pulling back to something smaller scale while bringing its own unique twist is a good idea. As for when you're playing through the game during the single player story, it looks like you'll need to recharge your Tera gem after every battle, so it's not like you can just easily Terastallize and take down every little Jimmy NPC, but I assume you obviously don't need to recharge before every Wi-Fi battle as a courtesy, though maybe Terastallization should have been tied to a held item like Z moves just for that extra little balance. I just know people are going to try out Electric type with an air balloon wherever they can, but the fact that the Pokemon also loses whatever defensive typing it had before and the air balloon can still be popped, there are ways around it. Though as a relatively casual player who sometimes jumps into online battles, I like it. But don't take any of my opinions as final for the battle aspect of it. For that, you should check out some VGC YouTubers like Moxie Boosted. What I do really like are the new Tera raid battles that were shown off. While I wasn't a fan of Dynamax during one-on-one battles, I thought it was a great idea for a 4-on-1 format like raids. So bringing those back and even changing up the battle style so that it's not necessarily turn-based looks like a fun idea. If Scarlet and Violet is touting the more multiplayer aspect of the game, then we were going to need some kind of feature like this, and it was a great idea to make it even faster. This is also the means through which we'll be able to obtain Pokemon with various Tera types. But yeah, the website and trailer says that we don't need to wait our turn in order to attack, so I'm assuming it's more of a move gauge system, like we see in Pokemon Go raids or in Pokemon Masters battles. And lastly, there's the story. Every other Pokemon gimmick has been tied to a third legendary Pokemon of the region, so I'm sure that Terastallizing will be the same. Though if the third legendary Pokemon ends up being a dragon whose energy spreads through the entire region and gives Pokemon a special ability yet again, that's gonna feel kinda boring. At least make it like a, I don't know, a rock fairy type or something. Wait, that's just Deonce's typing. Honestly, just retcon everything and make Deoncé responsible for all of this, it would actually fit best. Or better yet, make this a giant mutated Carbink. But regardless of whatever the origin ends up being, I hope the story is a little fun. There's not a whole lot I can say about it because it's likely going to be tied to a Pokemon that hasn't been revealed yet, so we'll just have to wait and see. From everything about Terastallization, I think it all comes together, at least just from what I can see. Seems like a fun idea that will provide some unique strategies that hopefully won't become too annoying. But let me know what your thoughts are and which Pokemon type combinations you'd like to see. But anyway, those have been some thoughts on Tera Pokemon. Thank you to all of my channel members who make videos like this possible, especially the great Gators Jackson, Justin R, Mr. Pig Puncher, and Quago. If you'd like to support, get a shout out here, and some access to emotes used in comments and live streams, then you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter for more memes as well. Anyway, this has been GatorEX, and I'll catch you all later.
Make way for Pokemon royalty!
You are a princess! Wow, Diance's a princess for real!
You're invited to the Princess Diance's movie debut in the premiere of Pokemon the Movie, Diance and the Cocoon of Destruction.
Grab on!
Where Ash and his friends help Diance on a dazzling adventure.
Friends, I'm so happy!
And we'll kick off the celebration with a Pokemon Marathon.
It's good for everybody involved. It all starts Saturday at 12/11 Central, only on Cartoon Network.